Hello, Mavs. Welcome back. I have my big red pen, which means I'm a regal red today. I am going to be digging in and continuing to do some amazing thinking and revising to bring my story to life and make it beautiful. And so are you. So today is a really fun one, and it's a great chance for us again to read our writing. And I'm reading my writing today, you're going to notice I'm going to create sentences, and I might also do some other changes because I'm reading my story again out loud, which helps me to find ways to make it sound better. Because I want you, you're kind of doing two things, and we can do this because we are almost going to be in third grade, aren't we? Here we go. So look at your learning target for this day, day 8 in our narrative writing. Here it is. That's what it is, day 8. On to 1, 2. I can create a topic sentence to hook my reader. Pew! Maps, there are lots of ways to hook a reader, right? And to get them to be like, oh my gosh, I am not going to put down Avery's book. This book is just incredible. Oh my gosh, Tate, woo, look at the way he started this story. I have to finish it. Okay, so that is what we are doing today. We are finding ways to hook our reader so that the moment they start to read our story and the moment they start to read each section of our story, they are hooked and they cannot put it down, no matter how hard they try. So studying the way that authors begin their stories and their paragraphs can help me think of a way to hook my reader. So Mouse, here's the cool thing. I have several books that I have on my lap today and all around me actually, that I'm going to share with you today. And I would encourage you to start looking at the topic sentences in some of the books that you have around you. And I want you to notice what authors do. They are very intentional with this to hook their readers. Let's talk about 3 ways. Today we are only going to talk about 3 ways because there's many and we don't want to get overwhelmed, okay? And we might even try out all of these ways today. A lot of times I might make writers create 3 different topic sentences and then choose their favorite. That sounds like a good idea for today, don't you think? So, first way that we are going to talk about is number 1, sound effects. Now, sound effects is one of my favorite ways. It's really fun. It's super engaging. And let's go ahead and look at some examples. Some examples is this fancy word you've probably heard in first grade, probably once in kindergarten as well, and it's called onomatopoeia. And what that is that good writers use sound effects to make their writing interesting. Now, onomatopoeia is a word that sounds the way it sounds. It's written the way that it sounds. So, for example, whoosh, that's how whoosh sounds. Blink, crunch, boom, ding, crash, pop, snip. Example, whoosh, I flew down the hill on my sled. Those types of sound effects are amazing and they really work to get your readers engaged. So when you see this word right here, crunch, munch, chomp, I bit into my delicious, juicy hamburger hot off the grill. Do you see how those 3 sound effects, crunch, munch, chomp, and then oftentimes you'll let your reader know, hey, guess what? I'm talking about biting into my delicious, juicy hamburger hot off the grill. Because they might be like, crunch, munch, chomp, what's happening? Is a dinosaur attacking? Okay, so we'll use that, and then you might let your reader know what you're talking about. Bark. Yep. Bark. Yep. The prairie dogs danced and sang on top of their hill. Okay, so you can see the reader or the writer really hooked you by creating some sound effects. So I want you to think that's one way that we're going to try today, and I'm going to try that on my first way. And I'm going to also show you right from a book that I have, because this book is called, I think you probably have heard it. It's called The Little Engine That Could. And we have read this book many times to our own children. And I want you to notice the way one of the most famous books in the whole entire universe starts. The Little Engine That Could. Ha ha ha. Chug, chug, chug. puff, puff, puff. Ding dong, ding dong. I hear onomatopoeia, do you? The little train rumbled over the tracks. She was a happy little train. Whoa, I am hooked. I am going to read the rest of this book as soon as we are done with our writing today. Okay, so that is way number 1, a sound effect. Let's talk about 2 more ways. The second way I want to talk about, and you guys are experts at this, so maybe you might decide to begin each section with a dialogue with quotation marks. People are talking. Now, many books start just like this, and we're going to look at a few examples today. Okay, and I have our notes here, right? This is kind of how to do it, so if you want to pause and come back to it, please do. Otherwise, I am going to show you some books that do it. I love this book. It's called Zen Shorts by John J. Muth. And look at the way that the author started the story. Michael, there's a bear outside, said Carl. A what? Called Michael. What? Did they just hook you with that dialogue or what? For me, they sure did. All right, how about this one? This is another great book, Westlandia. This is how the book starts, by the way. Of course he's miserable, moaned Wesley's mother. He sticks out like a nose, snapped his father. Okay, well, we definitely need to find out what's going to happen in this book. I hope that they caught your attention. I know they definitely hooked me, and I am going to have to read the rest of this story. The books are already piling up for me today. Okay, so we have found now 2 ways to begin our writing. Way number 1, onomatopoeia, sound effect. Way number 2, dialogue. And way number 3 that we are going to talk about today is setting the scene. Now, setting the scene basically is the best way to describe it is you kind of just bring your reader in. You're kind of letting your reader know that you're describing what's going on right now. You're just bringing them into the middle of a story. Okay. We walked down the stairs again, and when we reached the ground floor, Ford made his way to the library. The shelves were empty, the fireplace choked with rubble. The walls a deathly pale, flickered in the breath of the flame. Thieves had managed to remove every last bit of it, most of which must be lost in the twisted heaps of some junkyard by now. Whoa. I am definitely going to read this story because they hooked me with such great setting the scene goods. All right, here we go. Same thing here. Let's look at another example. This is one by Patricia Polacco. She kind of sets the scene by saying what's going on and then adding a little bit of dialogue, so it's a little bit of a twist. It wasn't that Natasha was a truly naughty child. She just never understood why she had to wait for things. Babushka, Natasha called for in Russian. Babushka means grandmother. Please stop doing the laundry and push me in the swing. Okay, so you can see they kind of bring you right in, give you a little information, add some dialogue, but you are definitely there in the scene with the characters in the story. Okay, and here is the last one, another beautiful story called Amazing Grace. Again, they just paint the scene, they give some detail to get you up to speed and you know what's going on in the story. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were in books or movies or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. Okay, so this technique can be a little trickier, but it's also really open. Basically, you're just inviting your reader into your writing and you're going to share and start talking to the writer. So, Matt, let's do this. I'm going to do it and then you are going to do it after me. Now, if you really don't want to try out 3 different ways on each section, that's okay. But I would encourage you to try each way one time. Just try it. The more that you try, the better you start to see, oh, wait, right? If you were to write a lead or a topic sentence for let's do this. Let's compromise. Okay. I want you to try each way, 1, 2, 3, for the very beginning part of your story. Okay. The middle and the end, you can choose whatever you want. That sounds like a very fair compromise, because here's what you're going to notice. You're going to notice that sometimes different ways sound better and that you do a better job on some lead sentences and some introductions to your stories. So today you get a chance to have a glance at that. All right, so the first one is here. Mackenzie, Carter, and Paul had made themselves very busy collecting shells that were all over the ground at. Now, how am I going to lead my story? Well, one way is sound effects. And if I don't have room right here, because guys, did I leave myself much room? No. So I could write on a back page, I could put a little star like this, topic. This is kind of what I teach my writers a lot of times. I say topic number 1, and I'm going to just go to the back of my story. And I'm going to write here on a clean page, topic 1. Because then when I go to publish, I just come here, and this is what I'm going to type, is whatever I wrote here. So I'm going to try the first way. Onomatopoeia. Well, I'm at a harbor, so what do you think I hear? I hear ding, ding, ding. I can't really, that's supposed to be kind of like a whistle, but it doesn't really, I don't know what a whistle would sound like. Hoot, maybe? I don't know. But let's pretend it's a whistle, right? That's my onomatopoeia. The boats, the whistles from the boats rang out in the background. Okay, way number 1. Okay, I'm next going to try, what did we say? Dialogue, of course, and we are experts on dialogue, so I'm going to go number 2. Let's see. I'm going to start off with a question in dialogue. Does everybody have sunscreen? I asked as we sat under an awning, which is kind of a thing that goes over your head. Does everybody have sunscreen? I asked as we sat under an awning that was temporarily blocking the sun. Temporarily blocking the sun. Okay. And that's, maybe I'm being mean. Maybe I won't make you do all 3. Okay, because I also want you to try. But I do want you to try all 3 ways. Okay. So I will try. So I tried 2 ways for my beginning. Okay. So I've tried 2 different leads. Okay. And I want you to try at least every single lead way throughout for the beginning, middle, and the end. So you can kind of decide. So for my middle, let's go to my middle. So the middle of my story starts here. The boats arrived, and they called our names from below. Hampton, the man shouted. Time to come aboard. Okay, so now crunch, crunch, crunch. It was strange to be walking on all of the beautiful shells. Okay, so in here I decided to use that second way, or the first way we talked about today. Crunch, 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 onomatopoeia again. Now, which way have I not yet used? Well, I have not yet used the setting the scene. Okay, so now I want you to look. This was the end part of my plan, and I'm going to go to the ending. This is when we're getting out. I'm hugging Kenzie. Okay, and I'm just going to paint a little picture right here. And I'm going to go topic. I'm just going to put a little 3 here so that I have room, because it doesn't look like right. The boat ride was coming to a close. We were going to end without seeing any manatees. However, all was not lost. We had flown over bull sharks and gone head to head with giant alligators. Okay, so now I'm going to come here. I'm just going to write topic 3 so that when I'm publishing, I can come here to write down what I want. Topic 3. Okay, and I'm just going to write a topic sentence. So maybe I'll say, I'm just going to kind of set the scene and talk about what's happening as our boat ride is ending, right? The sun was beginning to go down. Carter and Paul looked tired from the day's events. Okay. Again, I don't have to create a page of it. You can, right? And some of you will, and some of you might just want to say, I just want to kind of start and say a few things that are happening now at the end part of my story before I go. So now let's see how this sounds. The sun was beginning to go down. Carter and Paul looked tired from the day's events. And it's the events that happen, day's events. And now I'm going to read that part. The boat ride was coming to a close. We were going to end without seeing any manatees. That really flows well, right? So what I did, and this is what great writers do, they add a topic sentence, a beginning to each section of their writing to really hook their readers into each piece so that it flows like a beautiful, nice story. And what you're going to notice is when you spend the time to create topic sentences for each of your sections today, that your writing is going to come alive even more than it did from the dialogue that you did yesterday. So each piece that you're doing and each revision that you're adding, you are making your writing stronger and you are getting closer and closer to publishing. So Mavs, we have 2 more days of revisions and then we will edit and publish. So I'm super excited to see what topic sentences you're going to come up with today and ways that you're going to hook your reader today. And I will see you tomorrow.